Shubor nakaslem jong unongsan Hima.
Menteri Rangba Kajala Ukonret Ki Sangma Ula Pelat Patba Eka Meghalaya School Upgradation Program Hakaba Sanpau Tadi Ki Skul Lower Primary Bat Ki Upper Primary Ki Layo Eka Jing Pynbha Pynmiat Hapo Ka Phase 1 Jong Ka Program Hakate Ka Sngi Bala Pelat Patba Eka Te Ka Program Na Dan Bentalang Rut Da Menteri Ka Tanat Pule Putih Kajala Uba Lakamen Rumbui Menteri Ka CNRD Block Uba Hamlet Son Ling Chief Secretary Uba Donald P. Watlang Ki Khana Skul Ki No Hikai Bat Ki Weki Wei Haba Ai Jingkran Hakate Ka Sngi Menteri Rangba Pen pau ke jingkemen ke bakra bha halor ke jing pelat pat ba ya ke program na ke bentaban Pynbha penmian bat bo ik jing don kam jung ke skol ki badon hapo ke jella baru loong ba wat lada ke Sorkar kadang yo ban Pynbha tang kumbasan pau tli ki skol hapo ke jella hendai kini ki skol pat ken ai jing mentoy ha kaliang ke Pule ke puthi Ulaya thuru ba ke Sorkar kan sayo ban Pynbha sa kumbasis pat tli ki skol ki ban sapelat hau benai nai wing mentau snem bat hau ke laling kot jong snem thamai Hakate ka ju hi ka sngi Menteri Rangba lingba ka tanat State Education ula pelat pat ba ru ya ka National Initiative for Proficiency in Reading with Understanding and Numeracy lanie ka NIPUN
which stares us in the face on a day-to-day basis. I think so should be mentioned here. We have at present about 14,694 schools in the state of Meghalaya. 14,694. Out of which a majority of them, about 87%, are LP schools and LP and elementary schools, LP and upper primary, lower primary and upper primary, and the remaining 30% are secondary and higher secondary schools. So basically, the bulk of the schools that we have in the state, 87%, that is about nearly 12,000 numbers, are actually in the level of class 1 to class 8. The elementary section. Most of these schools are actually in very dilapidated condition, most of them taken over from the district council in the year 1994. And many of them, you all are aware, it has been discussed at different forums, without roofs, without windows, without proper equipments like furniture and other facilities that's required in the classrooms. It was with the vision of both the Honorable Chief Minister as well as the Education Minister that we had to take a very strong call in spite of the financial burden, the financial problems that we have in the state. And this call was taken in the year 2019, 1 year after this government came into power. And in 2019, Honorable Chief Minister had a review meeting of the Education Department and said that this is not done. Meaning that we cannot continue like this with the present condition of the schools. We have seen pictures, we have seen videos in social media, the condition of all these schools, and it's, to use the word pathetic is actually an understatement. It's worse than that. I'm happy that in 2019 the government took this call under the leadership of our Chief Minister when we had a review meeting, and then we had started this phase-by-phase reconstruction of all these schools. It was mentioned by VDR Tiwari, our Commissioner, but then I'll just reiterate and again mention the numbers. So we've decided and planned to redo about 2016 elementary schools. That is LP and upper primary schools covering students of class 1 to class 8. In phase 1, 191 LP schools and 7 upper primary schools. All of them work started and 90% of the work completed. This we started in the year 2020 in the midst of COVID. And in spite of COVID, we have completed almost all as of today. And we are launching 50 today by the Chief Minister. We are hoping to launch another 50 in November. And we are hoping to launch the balance in January first week. So this is phase 1 covering 208 schools, which also includes 10 secondary and higher secondary schools. So these schools are really, if you go and see these schools in the rural areas especially, they are without proper facilities, no proper roofing, no proper windows, but then now 10 of them have been repaired, and these new modern facilities with infrastructure like furniture will be given to all these schools. So we are hoping that in the next 1 year, all these schools will be in good condition, and this, I'm sure, will facilitate better instruction, will improve students' outcome, and also reduce the dropout rates that we often talk about in the state, especially in the rural areas. We are fully aware that now in the rural areas, without preparing the schools, when it rains, the students go back home, it's a holiday. If it rains for 3 days, 4 days, it's a 3-day, 4-day holiday for all of them. Now that's going to stop. Because with proper facilities, which we are going to show to you over here, what type of schools we have built in the last 2 years, you'll be very happy to see that the future of the students in the state of Meghalaya is in good hands, and we are taking good care of the future.
The purpose of this function today to show to the world that we are not only speaks but action speaks. That 200 school all over the state is on the verge of completion. And it is not that only 50 have been completed. No. That's why I'm telling you that significance of 50 is that to celebrate their 50th year of statehood. So we just launched this small initiative so that people will know. And having said that, still a long way to go. God Education Department, I'm very happy with Bhagwan when he was additional chief secretary, but Ambrose and all officers, we are working tirelessly, and we will show in the long term, in the short term and long term also. Because, as I said, improvement is there and we will do more. But we need the cooperation of each one of you how to do this. And after the inauguration of this, through this media friend, I want to tell each and every Manchi community, I need to tell that nobody take care of government school, because government school they take nobody's owning. It is owned by the community. Please take care of this building. Please take care of the dance of the teachers. Please take care of the quality of teaching all your respective schools so that we could together we could improve. And as I said, this is not only initiative. We have done training of the teachers. More than 20,000 teachers have been trained through different media, be sponsored by TV, be through digital program, be through other means of training. And not only that, many of our textbooks have energized it so that you can get it online. And we will do more. And not only that, we have relooked at our curriculum and how to improve it in the future. All these initiatives will go a long way in transforming the education system in the state for the interest of our children and the future generation.
And I'm happy to inform you that we are in the right direction and we should be able to complete the process very soon. As our Chief Secretary mentioned, next month also we will have another 50 schools. The month after that also we are trying for another 50 schools to be inaugurated. Most of them are at completion level, at least the 208 which we had initially started. And we should be able to start the work for the rest of the schools. We have put a target that the B category and the C category and the schools and some of the D category schools which are very, very basic repair, we have a target that in about 100 days we should be able to finish. That is about 1,500 plus schools which require minor repair and some major repair. We have got a mission mode where we are going to categorize the schools into 100 clusters, and on a mission mode we will put all the deputy commissioners, officials, departments all behind it to monitor things and target that we should be able to complete this B and C category renovation within a specific period of time. It's a big challenge. I'm not saying that it will happen or it won't happen, but we are daring to do it and moving forward with it, and we will do our best to ensure that we are able to meet that target. While we say that, I think the Education Minister has clearly mentioned to all of you, it's not that we can transform everything in one go. Education sector may be one of the most complicated sectors that we have, and departments, complicated departments that we have in the government. Everything from the kind of categorization of teachers, from the different categorization of schools, from different problems that each of these categories have, to different administrative issues that were there earlier, which need to be again streamlined, to different demands and pressures from different categories which are there. So on and so forth, it's not possible for us to transform education in one go. But as I said, a long journey starts with the first step. And I can show you that we have taken more than the first step. A lot of things have happened. We are in the right direction. This entire thought process that started way back in 2019, when we realized that there was a huge deficit in the overall infrastructure that was provided at the grassroots level for the students, especially in the rural areas. And of course, it doesn't require scientists to really understand the entire process. But if you were to just look at and observe the kind of schools and buildings that are there, even while you're traveling on the road, you will be able to understand the kind of challenges that are there in the education sector. And hence, when this entire problem came up in front of us, I requested our then Principal Secretary Education, who is now the Chief Secretary, to give us a detailed presentation on how many schools really are there which require improvement and overall infrastructure improvement, and those schools that require new buildings. And as soon as he brought the numbers in front of me and the kind of challenge that was there was a silence in the room for almost about 10-15 minutes, because we just didn't know whether this is real or unreal. And the kind of efforts that would be required to actually make a change was something that was just beyond our thought process at that moment. And we just couldn't digest the numbers that were coming in front of us. And I got very confused at how we would move forward. But then we looked at the problem and we said, let's break it down. Let's try to create phases. Let us start somewhere. And I tell our students are here, I want to share this very small experience with you. And I share this experience with a lot of youngsters. And I tell them that, whenever I get a chance, I normally, earlier I used to do it a lot, but nowadays I don't, because I don't get much time. But I used to always iron my own shirts. And I think ironing a shirt, don't look at my shirt now, so it's ironing a lot. So I'm giving an example. When you iron your shirt, you see it's something that's a lot of people think it's a simple process. But actually it's a problem-solving process. And when you look at the entire shirt crumpled up, you think, how am I going to wear this shirt? But then you start ironing the hand. Then you start ironing, the sides, the front, the back. And before you know it, your entire shirt is ironed. I want to tell the students that in the future, wherever you are and whatever you do in life, there will be a lot of big problems that you will see. And the only way to resolve big problems is to break them down into smaller problems. Put them into achievable goals. Break them up into different categories. And then you will see that there is a solution coming out slowly and steadily. You may not be able to change everything in one go, but then you will be able to slowly see the difference, and that will give you the satisfaction. And the motivation to keep doing it more and more. Like ironing a shirt. So once you iron your hand and you see the work complete, you feel good. Then you go to the other hand. So like that today, what we're doing is solving the problems in bits and pieces. We have 2,000 schools to renovate. 2,000. The number that came in front of us to make that happen was mind-boggling. I think if anybody had seen those numbers, they would just run away. They said, we can't do this, forget it. But then we had a desire and a will and a determination, I should say, to do it. And so we told the department, let's start somewhere. Let us start. If we keep looking at this problem, we will never be able to resolve it. Let's start somewhere. And that's when this inertial 208 schools came in. Of course, before that, we started in small ways to make additional classrooms through different projects from Tribal Affairs Ministry. About 360 schools got additional classrooms. But this entire focused and very, planned approach to actually resolving this infrastructural problem in LP schools started with this space. And so we did 208 schools. Then we said that, well, it's moving right direction. Then we have again sanctioned 100 plus 100 schools. Then we realized that maybe all schools don't require new buildings. There are a large number of schools that are quite okay, but they just need maybe the roof to be changed. Maybe the inside of the walls need to be strengthened, the windows need to be changed, the doors need to be changed. So maybe we don't need 48 lakhs for every school. Maybe we need just about 5-10 lakhs for some of the schools. So we started categorizing it. And then we realized that it's possible. So we realized that there are about 800 plus minus schools that are in B category, which require major repair. Maybe about 5 to 8 lakhs to 10 lakhs. Then we realized that there are about 600, 700 schools which require minor repair. Maybe about 3 to 5 lakhs. And then there are some schools which just require about 1 lakh just to paint the building, maybe just change a bit of the infrastructure. And here we are, the shirt looks almost, at least the plan looks almost that it's going to be completed. And we are actually going to, on the verge of, we are on the way, we are on the way to actually be able to 100% see all the LP schools with a new facelift. If not a new building, at least the schools will be renovated and will be in a stage for providing proper study and environment to the children. So hence it has been and through this education cess, we put the cess on minerals. And on an average, depending on the mining that is there for limestone and other minerals, roughly about 50 crores to 100 crores is collected. So this money was always collected meant for education purpose, but it was never used for it, for whatever reason. So we realized and we decided that when the cess for education is being collected, well, it better be used for education. And that's when we started actually using these funds, which is meant for education, the education cess, into actually making buildings. And it is with this money, it is with that money that we collect from the education for the cess amount of minerals that we are actually implementing these different projects. This is an indication of how the PhD department has been working exceptionally well. That award from the President of India is going to come to us. We got an award from the UN, where we competed with different world nations, not just states in our country, where China, Singapore, European nations were competing against us. And we won an award for e-governance at the UN, which again is a testimony of the kind of work that's going on. The MSME and the Commerce Ministry gave us an award for the best ecosystem, startup ecosystem among the small states. It shows the kind of work that we're doing in entrepreneurship, that we're trying to promote our entrepreneurs and give our youth an opportunity. We recently got an award for the best performance in the MHIS in the health department. Again, they're reflecting the kind of work and improvement that's happening in the health department. We got an award for the sustainable tourism sector. Again, given by Government of India, the best among small states. These are testimonies to reflect and show how it's not about one department, it's not about what we do for one particular problem. It's about the entire working mechanism of how government should deliver, how the system should work. And I've been stressing on this point from day one that we are not coming here to change everything. We are coming here to improve on where we were and make it better. And we can do it by doing small changes. It's not that we have to change everything. Small steps, small changes, small monitoring. Continuous, accountability. Reporting. These are simple things that can change the way things are. Small steps. Today we have 50 schools being operated. Next month we'll do another 50. By January we'll have another 50. And slowly and steadily we will go towards the 2,000 mark that we have set for ourselves. And these kind of things need to happen at every level. It's not just at the Chief Minister's Secretariat, or only at the ministerial level, or just the cabinet level. But each and every one of you who's here working with the department needs to realize that your contribution is there at your level to make things better. What do we do to improve things? And it is only when we work as a team, and we are a team, let me tell you. We work together. We respect each other. We support each other. We make mistakes, but we learn from our mistakes.
Since 2014, our country has been plagued by divisive forces. TMC is in Meghalaya with the mission to empower the people, uphold the ethnic cultures and traditions, celebrate the sacred land. To oust the proxy BJP government from Meghalaya, be the change, support TMC by calling on 96877 96877.